Newport started out as a town of 67 people around 1868. It was a small little town with big ideas. But there were issues along the way, and the federal government came in to help quite a bit during that time, the early days. The issues was, first of all, the Pacific Ocean. One big whirling mass of sea and foam and wind and the rest of it during winter times. It's a rough place out there. And the Army Corps of Engineers back early on decided that what was necessary along the coast, particularly in Oregon, were harbors of refuge, safe places where boats could come in and out, and lives could be saved and all the rest of it. And Newport was all part of that early on, whose residents, by the way, thought of themselves eventually as becoming perhaps the San Francisco of Oregon.
There were over 50 sawmills in Lincoln County at that time. And I didn't believe it because I only knew about 3 or 4 of them here, but practically every little drainage in the county had a little mill cutting ties.
The bayfront wasn't much in those days. You go down Fall Street, you get to the intersection down there at Bay Boulevard. To the left down there where most of the fish plants are now, nobody ever went down there other than the fishermen.
It was like a little bullet type trailer that had a little tiny horseshoe in it, and it was coffee and breakfast. They weren't open past 3 or 4 in the afternoon. And my grandmother lived in a little teeny building in the back, and it didn't have a kitchen, it just had a bedroom and not even really a living room. And she was working in the evenings at Moe's with Freddie. Freddie would do the morning, my grandmother would do, Grandma Moe would do the night. And Moe's was open 24 hours, so it was full of a lot of characters, a lot went on. When they filmed Sometimes a Great Notion, there was, I mean, the waterfront was such an amazing looking place, and there was so many characters. These eccentrics from Hollywood come, and they're just going, oh yeah, this makes us real people. You know, we hang around down here with these real people, and the, you know, the nightclubs and everything was rocking and rolling. I mean, everybody was, and there were a lot of these uptown people who were too good or too scared to come down to the waterfront, started coming down to the waterfront and hanging out.
The Yaquina here has had a long history of oyster production, going back, way back into the sort of 19th century. We're very unique here in having this capability, this facility to work with oyster culture. So the University of Washington doesn't have anything like this, nor does California. So the industry is really very dependent on the work that we do here.
You know, when we started out, you had a compass and a little small radio and a fathometer. That's about what you had, and you kind of flew by the seat of your pants. You know, to find your way into port, you would get on the depth that the whistle buoy's in. All these whistle buoys are set at about 16 or 17 fathoms. So as you worked all day long in the fog and you didn't know where you was at, you'd always kind of keep track of which direction you was going, so you knew whether you was north or south of the buoy.
When I first started, the interesting thing relative to what they do today is people would take their pots out and they would set them baited, and they'd come to town, and when it was time to go haul them, people would go out and they would run through their string of pots and they would come home. That's what they did. You're gonna let them soak for 3 or 4 days. Nobody comes home anymore. The intensity has been turned and turned and turned, both in how much weather we're willing to deal with out there and in the competitive nature of trying to catch a crab before someone else does.
What's happened over the years is the fishermen have become better and better and more conscious about their catch and more efficient at catching fish, that we have outpaced our government in the regulatory management scheme. We're now years ahead of them and they can't keep up with us in regulation. So we're always pushing National Marine Fisheries Service as hard as we can to create new regulations because we're finding better ways to fish, cleaner ways to fish, more efficiently, but they can't keep up with us. They're still trying to manage the artifacts of the past.
The community support for the fleet has always been there. Newport has always been proud to be a fishing town. We have a working waterfront. We have a strong fleet, a highly respected fleet. We have people in town that understand the importance of protecting infrastructure.
The Port of Toledo is as important to Newport as Newport is to Toledo. The reason we have to goes back, over 100 years. We've got a real aggressive, progressive fishing fleet. The service industry grew alongside of the fishermen, and that's what's really unique about our area. You go to Astoria or Coos Bay, they don't have the marine service people that we have. We got some of the best. The goal of the port is to develop the infrastructure to support that. They provide the moorage, the fish plants, and that part of it, and the Newport terminal. But the actual work being done on the boats, the haul outs, that's being done up in Toledo here. So.
And I was up in the glory hole, and upside down we went, and around and around. And I held my breath, and I could hold my breath a long time in those days. I held my breath, and I held my breath, and I held my breath, and I thought, and you could hear the water, the bubbles underwater, and they were going, all kinds of little noises, but it's silent except for this strange noise above the water. I thought, oh Christ, I bet this boat is sunk. I bet we're upside down and I'm going to stick my head right in the sand.